The Digimon games were going through a process of experimentation at the beginning of the 2000s. They were definitely a large amount of projects with interesting ideas, and leaving aside great games like Digimon World and the first Rumble Arena, on this occasion we would talk about the second part. On this opportunity we have an iconic game with interesting approaches, not because of its formula but because of the way of executed in the gameplay. Digimon Rumble Arena 2.
Digimon Rumble Arena 2.
Another of the classics that many of you asked me to bring to the channel. Let's try to reach a goal of 60 likes. We have achieved more in the past, so I know I can count on you. So with that in mind, let's dive into the game. As we already established, the Digimon Rumble Arena are not games based on story or with a campaign to complete. Here the thing is about punches, good old combats. More specifically, the gameplay of this title can be condensed in two worlds, Digimon Universe and Super Smash Bros. I say the Digimon Universe even if it sounds obvious, but it turns out that this is one of the best examples that I've ever seen of how a game takes advantage of the qualities of the universe it's representing to nourish the gameplay. Later, you will see why exactly. But let's start step by step. This game welcomes you directly to test yourself. You have simple single player or multiplayer game modes and they take you right into the action. In solo mode, you face a series of battles to advance using the initial Digimon you choose. You will advance through several squares and gain unlockables, scenarios, new characters, and new game modes. The gameplay adds many elements from games of the same era. See Super Smash Bros. Melee or Shaolin Showdown, a fighting and platforming game system that consists of reducing your rival's health to zero or also throwing him off the platform. We had basic combos of melee attacks, grabs, special abilities, and air special moves as well. One of the most important factors was Digi-evolution. Our Digimon could evolve once it had gathered enough energy, which was represented by this blue bar. Each Digimon had two evolutions that modified its moveset and its damage. It doesn't have a time limit, so one of the only ways to return to normal was to be defeated. Once we were in the most powerful transformation, if we filled our energy bar once again, we could make an ultimate attack unique to each evolution and that generated great damage. The idea sounded very promising, and we have not yet mentioned all the other game modes that are offered to us, such as the poison mode, where a random rival starts the game poisoned and must make contact with us to pass it through. The last whoever remains standing would be the winner, and we also have the mythical King of the Hill. How can you not get excited about a game that combines mechanics from very successful games and also a universe with characters as interesting as the Digimon? Having characters from the first 4 seasons of the anime. However, the number of characters was reduced compared to its predecessor on the PlayStation 1, and to better understand the journey of the title, we must talk a couple of things about the first Rumble Arena. This game had very mixed reviews at the time of its release in 2001, with gameplay that was considered acceptable but rather thick in certain aspects of fluidity. One of the factors that caught the most attention in the game was its platform and fighting system with different movements of iconic Digimons, a title that offered a lot of fun and hours of play to young people and teenagers. The sequel was for many players a leap forward despite its roster reduction, giving greater fluidity to the fight and giving incredible possibilities for chaos in the confrontations. The scenarios play a very important role in the game, providing diversity of conditions to fight, giving dynamism to the gameplay. You can come across platforms that are falling, leaving you with a very small reaction space. There are scenarios that are almost completely destructible, others with obstacles that can damage you. Some can turn you into cans that can barely react. Also others such as scenarios that involve certain death on a cliff or with rivers of lava. I really like how the settings are so important in the development of the fight. It's also worth mentioning the objects that we can collect, which give you advantages such as increased health, others that allow you to evolve suddenly, another which is the Iron Fist to send your rivals flying with your blows. There is also invincibility and the spicy chili that makes your rivals burn once you touch them. The game has a relatively balanced roster, with the majority of Digimon protagonists, but there is one called Diabramon, which is a tornado of glitches, dealing with attacks with a lot of range that can send you flying and lose one life in a second in a scenario with cliffs. Each of his hits have tremendous damage and it's very unfair to face this guy, especially in the arcade mode. Beyond that, I wouldn't say the game lacks balance in its combat features. I would say that the mode that makes the game shine the most is its 4-player confrontation, where the battle takes another form, making you take several conditions in a short time to survive. And most of all, the adrenaline peaks if all the players are real people, with your friends and family. Unfortunately, for those who had the game on PlayStation 2, the option to play with 4 existing players was there, but only if 2 players were in combat and the other 2 were CPU. Since in order to play with 4 controllers on the PlayStation 2 at that time, we needed multi-connectors, which I have never known anyone who owned it. This scenario didn't occur with Xbox or GameCube players, and it's a shame since they would be missing out on one of the best experiences the game offers. It was quite entertaining to take a look at this game in retrospect. There are many projects from these years that are worth remembering due to their influence on the medium, their proposals, or even their downfalls. Digimon Rumble Arena was a very hopeful attempt, but in the end, it didn't end up culminating in a legit franchise. Among all this sea of games from the 6th generation of consoles, it was lost, but it will never be forgotten as one of the favorite childhood games of many players. If you want to leave in the comments what your experience with the game was, you are welcome, I'll be reading them. Guys, in the next videos we will bring great expected titles such as the second part of the analysis in Xenoverse 2, Naruto Clash of Ninja Revolution 3, Pirate Warriors 2 and more, so you don't want to miss that. Stay tuned with the channel. Guys, thank you very much for watching, that was all for today and I'll be watching you in the next video. Take care and see ya!